Guaranteed. The island of Sodor is a beautiful place, especially in the summer, when the air is warm enough, the cool breeze from the beach isn't freezing cold. But with so much freight and passenger runs, along with the Peel Goldwood branch line reopening, another engine was needed to help, so one was loaned. The engine only came with a number, 87546, but said his name was Crovin. He was helpful, but always rude and boastful. Every day, he was spouting about what was wrong with everyone else, or what was so great about him. It was late one night in the sheds, when the engines were talking, Crovin being the loudest. "I am very pleased to be on your railway, helping out," he said. "Thank you," said Edward. It's just a shame that it's too small to be a proper line. Even a small engine like that blue puffball could run it in 10 minutes. "No, just a minute," said Gordon angrily. "This island is large enough for any engine." "Even the guaranteed engine?" asked Crovin. "What is the guaranteed engine," he interrupted, "is the best engine on the line. I resemble this characteristic perfectly." "How so?" asked Henry. "I'll give you an example," said Crovin. "Do you remember that long and heavy train I pulled the other day? It was meant for you, Henry, but you weren't there to take it. You must have been scared. So I volunteered to do so, and when I pulled the train, all the trucks behaved so well, even for the dirty little things." "And did you see how fast I pull it? I overtook Gordon. That is what a guaranteed engine is. They're fast as Gordon, as capable as Edward, and as strong as Henry." "I'm confused," said Percy. "About what?" asked the lone engine. "Were you complimenting yourself or the others?" He laughed. Crovin's face went redder than James's paint. He puffed quietly into the back of the shed. For the rest of the week, he was boasting more than ever, and was rude to almost every engine he met, especially Edward, Henry, and Gordon. Gordon held an indignation meeting one afternoon about Crovin. "He is rude to everyone, boastful about his capabilities, and can't keep his mouth shut for 5 seconds. "Although I appreciate the help," said Edward, "he does need to learn sense. But how?" Luckily, they didn't have to wait for long. That night, Henry rolled into the shed, rather sickly looking. "Are you all right, Henry?" asked Gordon. "No, I'm not," replied Henry. "I think I took on some bad waterhead wells with... Now it feels like my pipes are clogged up." "I'm afraid they are," said his driver. "I'll get someone to take you to the works tomorrow. In the meantime, we'll have to find someone that can take your train." "I think I can take your train tomorrow," said a voice. It was Crovin's. "I'm strong and reliable enough to take it, unlike you, Henry." All the engines loathed his compliments of himself, but now they thought they could have the upper hand. If Edward hadn't been gone for that night, the plan might not have been put into motion. "These trucks are extra troublesome," said Gordon. "They wouldn't dare push me off the rails." "They're not that kind of troublesome. They're worse. These trucks are clever," said Gordon. "No trucks are more clever than me," said Crovin, and he pulled farther into his shed to get some sleep. The next morning, he puffed into the yards to collect his train, only to find Percy still shunting his trucks. "Oh, thank goodness, another engine to help me. I'll collect your vans and you can get the full trucks," said the little engine. "I can't, trucks. I'm too important to do so. You see, my name is Percy. I'm too busy to learn about your life story. Anyways, I have something very important to say." "I don't shunt because you're a tender engine," interrupted Percy, losing patience. "I was brought to this island because of that stupid idea. If you can't collect 3 trucks because you say you don't shunt, I'll have something to say, and it won't be very nice." Crovin subsided, surprised an engine, let alone a small one, talked to him like that. He collected his trucks and puffed away. Now every wise engine knows to only bump trucks if they misbehave. Crovin, on the other hand, thought to bump trucks no matter what. When he got onto the main line, this is when he started his act. He bumped the trucks fiercely. "Ow!" they screamed. "What was that for?" "That was a warning," said Crovin. "I will bump you whenever you misbehave. Talk back, or as a reminder." The trucks were very annoyed. "He can't push us around like this," he said. Let's push him off the rails. No, said the first truck. Then we'll come off the rails with him. Listen, I have a plan. His coupler is loose, so we'll hold him back on the hill. The truck started to laugh until Croven bumped them again. Be quiet. Of course, said the trucks, and they came along quietly. When they reached Edward's station, they started their tricks. Edward was at the station with his local train. He wanted to give Croven a friendly whistle, but he couldn't, as the lone engine raced through, whistling loudly, and the trucks shouting and yelling. He's in for a rough ride, thought Edward the Blue Engine. He was very much right. As the long train came to Gordon's Hill, Croven bumped them again. Now you must come quietly. This is the rough part of the line. Of course, said the trucks. But soon before they reached the top, they started their tricks. Hold back, they giggled. Hold back and put on your brakes. Croven felt his train getting heavier and heavier. Cut out your nonsense, he called, and bombed the trucks fiercely. They retaliated twice as much, causing a loose chain link to break. The silly trucks raced backwards down the hill and into Wellsworth. Goodness me, said Edward, and he reversed, leaving almost his entire train behind. The trucks raced into the sidings with the brakes screeching loudly. When they reached the end of the siding, they gently tapped the buffers. What were you thinking? Yelled Croven. You could have caused an accident. That would have spoiled my reputation. You care more of your reputation than the safety of your passengers? Asked Edward. You left them at the station, said Croven huffily as he went into the yard. Edward was in shock, even when the rude engine left the yard with his trucks. On the hill, Croven bumped the trucks harder than before. No more tricks! He sounded quite angry. We'll give him tricks, screamed the trucks, and they bumped him once again, and it snapped the couplers again, and off they rolled back into the yard. Once again, Edward jumped in horror, and the trucks rolled back into the same siding. Croven was on the verge of pushing the trucks off the rails, but he attempted to keep his composure. Stop doing that! All you're doing is making me look like a fool! The trucks could have cared less. One final time, they started up the hill, and once again, Croven's coupling broke, sending the cars laughing, the brakes screaming, down the hill and into the yard. Now let's see what he does, said one truck. Maybe his boiler will get so hot they'll boil an egg on it, laughed another. When Croven did arrive in the yard, he looked furious. Let's just try again, said Croven through gritted teeth, and get this over the hill. We can't, said the driver. The back coupling broke. We can't pull the train forward, and with its weight, we can't pull it backwards. So defeated, Croven pulled into the shed at Wellsworth. Several minutes later, the Fat Controller arrived, looking quite cross. Sir, what are you doing here? I thought you'd be on the mainland. I was going home early when I got word at Marin that someone was causing confusion and delay on the hill. Why did you rough up the trucks, making you lose your coupler? They were being very rude to me, said Croven. Like you were to the other engines, said the Fat Controller. I heard about it from Gordon, boasting about something guaranteed, whatever. You are not. You can't go home now. It is too late in the day. You shall have to stay in the sheds until tomorrow. That night in the sheds, when Croven came back to them, he heard the other engines talking. Who's that? Asked one. I think it's Croven, said another. It can't be, said a third. Croven is a guaranteed engine. He's supposed to be fast, strong, and reliable. He wasn't on time and couldn't get his trucks on the hill. Croven didn't know who was talking, but it didn't matter, as he knew there was no such thing as a guaranteed engine.